Hi guys. So what do you think keeps busy the today's generation? Most of them you would find swiping up on their mobile phone screens, and this takes most of their time. For today's generation, it is just normal to spend 6 to 7 hours of their time on their mobile screens. Where do you think it is leading them? And what used to happen in the old days? And do you think a book can do any better? In this video, we are going to discuss about a book which started an industry. And this book changed the course of life of a person called Morris Chang. He is the founder of TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. If you look at this image, you will see there are 3 dots. And there is another image of the market share. Do you think both of them are connected? Just think about this, how the connection between these 3 dots can lead to a revolution and can lead to a market share of TMC of approximately 60%. So what do you think is the name of the book, and how can one book transform everything around us and can bring a revolution around us in electronics? This is the story of Morris Chang. Morris Chang was born in 1931 in China, and China was on the brink of war because of Japanese invasion. Morris Chang and his family moved to Hong Kong. He was there for some time, and then after that he moved to US. In 1949, Mr. Chang moved to US, studying in Harvard. Then after that, he moved to MIT to study mechanical engineering. There he wanted to get into PhD, and he failed twice. After failing twice, he thought maybe it might be better just to test out the job market. He applied for several positions, and he got 2 offers from Ford as well as from another company, a lesser known one, which was Sylvania. Everybody knew about Ford, but very few people knew about Sylvania, which was an electronics firm. There he learned about the basics of electronics, which was transistors. And there is also an interesting story behind why he chose Sylvia. After getting offers from both these firms, Ford offered him $149 per month, while Sylvania offered him $150 per month. So Mr. Morris Chang called Ford and asked them if they could match the offer from Sylvania, and the people on the other side of the line became very rude and told them that not even a single cent can be increased. So Mr. Morris Chang joined Sylvania, and that started his journey in the electronics industry. In Sylvania, he learned important lesson about semiconductor. Semiconductor industry is a very unforgiving industry. Once you're left behind, then it is very difficult to catch up. In 1958, he joined another buzzy new semiconductor company, TI, Texas Instruments. Mr. Chang became a pillar of Texas Instruments. The innovations were happening at TI. In the 1970s, TI produced a chip which could synthesize human voice, spell and speak toy, which helped children in pronunciation and speaking. In the late 1970s, when TI started focusing on calculators, digital watches and computers, Mr. Chang thought it might be the dead end for his career. So he moved on to another company called GI, General Instrument, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. In one of his assignments with TI, he was sent to Japan to set up a factory there. And after the factory was set up there, the results they were getting from the Japanese factory was different from what they were getting from the US one. And Mr. Chang was sent on a visit to Japan to study why there is a difference in the productivity of these 2 factories in different countries. And he learned that the Japanese people are the reason for that. In US, they did not have qualified people, and in one of the instances, the supervisor of the factory was an arts major. So this made up his mind that if something great in semiconductor has to happen, it has to happen in the eastern part of the globe, that is in Japan or somewhere near Japan. So Mr. Chang was able to connect the 2 dots. One was the book, that was the first dot, and the second dot was his visit to Japan, where he was able to understand that if something great has to happen in semiconductor, it appears to be somewhere in Asia. In 1984, Mr. Chang joined a company called General Instrument, where he met somebody who would later become an entrepreneur who would only manufacture chips and not design them. This reinforced the belief in Mr. Chang that it is possible to manufacture chip without designing them. The design could be done by somebody else and they could focus only on manufacturing. After connecting these three dots at the age of 54, Mr. Chang moved from US to Taiwan. In the beginning, he did not have any plan of setting up a factory in Taiwan, or for that matter, even setting up TSMC. But the government of Taiwan identified him and gave him a task of setting up TSMC, which could help Taiwan. Mr. Chang became involved in this project, and there he set up a company called TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, we know as of today. In 1987, he founded TSMC, and he was clear in his head about the business plan that other people would design the chip and TSMC would focus only on manufacturing. With so much investment happening in the manufacturing facility, it was very difficult for the companies who wanted to design the chip and also invest such huge money in manufacturing them. His vision for the manufacturing of semiconductor became prophetic. As the manufacturing of semiconductors became more and more complex, a lot of companies dropped out and they wanted to focus only on design and not on the manufacturing. This helped TSMC build a niche for itself. In 2005, Mr. Chang stepped down as the chief executive of the company. In 2008, there was a financial crisis because of which TSMC was not able to sustain its employees and it had to let go of a lot of employees. There was protest against TSMC and all of them were right in front of the building where Mr. Chang used to live. So Mr. Chang made a decision that he needs to go back, and he went back. In 2009, there were some discussions happening with Apple and he wanted to close the contract with Apple so that they could manufacture it. So Apple was in discussion with Samsung and parallelly with TSMC. The discussion went on to such a great length that for 2 months there was a silence and there was no communication between TSMC and Apple. But finally Apple decided to go ahead with TSMC because TSMC was not competing with Apple in phones and other electronic devices. Similarly, Mr. Chang got also into an agreement with nvidia, which is now one of the most valuable companies in 2024 in world. After onboarding these two companies, there was no looking back for Mr. Morris Chang. And today we know TSMC as one of the most valuable semiconductor company in the world. It has got market share of approximately 60%, and as on 31st March 2024, the revenue of TSMC was approximately $70 billion. I hope you found this video interesting, and if you found this video interesting, please do like, comment and share to encourage and motivate us to make such videos in future as well. Thank you very much.